Dinosaurs never really went extinct. No, that's not some wild new theory, it's a scientific fact. In fact, you probably saw one this morning. You might have even heard one chirping outside your window. Because every single bird flying today, from the tiniest hummingbird to the mightiest eagle, is a living, breathing dinosaur. The story of how fearsome, ground-shaking reptiles became the feathered friends that fill our skies is one of the most incredible epics in the history of life on Earth. It's a story of shocking body makeovers, mysterious new accessories, and the evolution of a superpower that would change the rules of life forever: flight. Our story kicks off not with a bird, but with a dinosaur. Let's rewind the clock about 160 million years to the Jurassic period. The world is dominated by giants, but hiding in the shadows, a specific group of dinosaurs is quietly setting the stage for an evolutionary revolution. These are the theropods, a diverse bunch of bipedal, meat-eating dinosaurs. This group includes A-listers you already know, like the ferocious Tyrannosaurus rex and the clever Velociraptor. But it was the smaller theropods who were the real trailblazers. These creatures already had a whole set of features that would be essential for the birds to come. For starters, they walked on two long legs which freed up their arms for other things. Their bones were hollow, a trait that made their skeletons surprisingly light without losing much strength. A critical first step for getting airborne. They had long necks, a horizontal posture, and a hinge-like ankle, all features we easily recognize in birds today. These dinosaurs were fast, agile hunters, but they had no clue that their very bodies were the blueprint for a creature that would one day conquer the skies. They were the raw material, the starting point from which birds would be sculpted by time. For a long time, the biggest question mark in the dinosaur-to-bird story was feathers. Where did they come from and why? Well, thanks to some mind-blowing fossil discoveries, we now know that feathers evolved long before flight. They didn't just pop up overnight as perfect aerodynamic structures. The very first feathers were simple, hair-like filaments that scientists have nicknamed dino fuzz. The leading idea is that these first feathers weren't for flying, but for something much simpler: staying warm. Like a downy coat, these primitive feathers provided insulation, helping these active dinosaurs regulate their body temperature. Incredible fossils unearthed in China since the 1990s have completely rewritten what we thought we knew. We now have proof of more than 30 species of non-avian dinosaurs decked out in feathers. Some, like Archaeopteryx, had long, structured feathers on their arms and tails. Not for flying, but probably for showing off, attracting mates or scaring rivals, just like a modern peacock. In other species, these arm feathers might have served another surprising purpose: brooding their eggs. Fossils have been found of dinosaurs sitting on nests, their feathery arms spread over their eggs exactly like a hen. So the feather, the most iconic feature of a bird, started its evolutionary career as a winter coat and a fashion statement, long before it was ever used for flight. The journey from a land-based theropod to an avian flyer wasn't just about slapping on some feathers. It required a radical overhaul of the entire body. This is where evolution got really creative, tinkering with the dinosaur skeleton piece by piece over millions of years. That long, heavy, toothy snout of a dinosaur. It started to shrink and get lighter. The powerful bone-crushing jaws eventually became a lightweight, toothless beak. This one change dramatically cut down the weight at the front of the body, making it much easier to stay balanced in the air. The forelimbs, once used to snatch prey, grew longer and longer. while the bones in the wrist and hand started fusing together. This created a strong, rigid structure that could support a wing, a single powerful airfoil instead of a flexible clawed hand. One of the most critical changes happened in the chest, a structure many dinosaurs already had. The two collarbones fused together to become the furcula, what we call the wishbone. This bone acts like a spring, storing and releasing energy with every flap of the wings. At the same time, the breastbone or sternum grew a deep keel, giving the massive flight muscles a solid anchor point. Other parts of the skeleton were being radically reshaped too. The long, bony tail that helped dinosaurs balance on the ground was drastically shortened into a fused stump called a pygostyle. This structure anchors the fan of tail feathers birds use for steering. Across the whole skeleton, bones became even more hollowed out and were reinforced with a network of internal struts, a masterpiece of natural engineering that delivered maximum strength for minimum weight. Each of these tweaks, happening slowly over generations, was another crucial step towards the sky. This brings us to the climax of our story, the most famous fossil in the world, Archaeopteryx. Discovered in Germany and dating back about 150 million years, Archaeopteryx is the perfect snapshot of evolution in action. It had a wild mix of old and new. It still had a mouthful of sharp teeth, a long bony tail, and claws on its fingers, all classic dinosaur traits. But it also had fully formed asymmetrical flight feathers, a wishbone, and wings, the defining features of a bird. For decades, scientists argued about whether Archaeopteryx could actually fly, or if it was just a fancy glider. Recent studies of stunningly preserved specimens like the Chicago Archaeopteryx have given us new clues. Analysis revealed it had specialized feathers called tertials, which connect the wing to the body and are vital for creating a solid surface for powered flight. Its skeleton was even lighter and more hollowed out than we thought, and its spine was reinforced to help it stay stable while flapping. Archaeopteryx was very likely capable of active flapping flight, even if it was a bit clumsy by today's standards. But Archaeopteryx wasn't the only experiment. Discoveries like Microraptor, a four-winged dinosaur that might have glided or flown, show that nature was trying out different ways to get airborne. This was a time of intense innovation, a biological arms race, to see who could conquer the third dimension. The journey went from leaping to gliding, from trees to short bursts of powered flight, with each stage building on the last until true mastery of the air was finally achieved. Then, about 66 million years ago, the world changed in an instant. A massive asteroid slammed into the planet, triggering a global catastrophe that wiped out an estimated 76% of all species, including all the non-avian dinosaurs. The giants who had ruled for over 150 million years were gone. And yet, amid the devastation, one particular lineage of dinosaurs survived: the birds. So why did they make it when their relatives didn't? They had a few key advantages. Their small size was a huge one. Smaller animals need less food, a lifesaver when food webs have collapsed. Their diet was also critical. While many large dinos were specialized plant eaters, many early birds had beaks instead of teeth, allowing them to eat seeds and nuts that could stay buried and safe in the soil long after plants withered. Their ability to fly let them travel huge distances to find pockets of safety and new food sources. And their feathers, first evolved for warmth, now provided crucial insulation against the wild temperature swings of the impact winter. The birds that made it through this bottleneck found themselves in a world empty of their giant dinosaur cousins. They rapidly diversified, exploding into the incredible array of more than 10,000